All right. Ladies and gentlemen, here we are, another episode of the In the 11 podcast, the show where we bring on footballers from across the world to show you what it takes to be in the 11 at the highest possible level. Special guest with me here today. We were just talking about our mutual connection that kind of brought us to this episode. A previous coach of this player and someone who I've stayed in contact with for quite a long time. So a big shout out to Coach John Ciano, who's now just got a big upgrade in terms of roles as well and is now at St. John. So again, big shout out to him. And I want to just read kind of quickly when we were connecting what he said about you, because I think it just goes to show the character of the type of person that we're about to have on the show here today. Talking about how him and I have very similar experiences in terms of professional kind of playing career-wise, but says he was my first recruit at St. Rose and was one of the guys who helped us transform the program. He's a good player, an amazing person, a really engaging person to speak with, and even some things that we'll talk about as well, just positivity, leadership training, things like that. But I think just that quote, to hear someone like Coach Ciano say, someone that transformed his program, is pretty high praise. So I'm looking forward to hearing your story and and yeah, I mean, take it from there if you want to kind of shout out Coach or introduce yourself or tell the people how you're doing.
First of all, thank you so much for welcoming me to the podcast. I'm very very grateful for this opportunity, and well, this introduction just made me blush, and I'm very very humbled by John Sanders' word. He's someone that I look up to. He's a mentor. He's been a coach, but someone I consider as a very special human being. So I've been fortunate enough to cross path and to keep him in my life. And I think that just the fact that we connected through him means that somehow we were meant to talk and we were meant to have this conversation. And I'm just looking forward to have a chat and just get to know yourself and share a little bit about my journey.
Absolutely, man. Why don't we set the scene a little bit, and even that kind of lays out how you wound up going on to play college soccer. For those who don't know, Coach Ciano is now, as I just mentioned there, the assistant coach at St. John's. But at the time of kind of both of our coming up through the college aged years, was the head coach at a program called St. Rose. So maybe if you want to talk to us a little bit about just your career, or I don't know if I'll call it career, but just growing up with the game of football, right? And then how that led to you maybe thinking about venturing over to the United States to come and play college soccer.
Absolutely. So I'm Jean-Philippe Rutabayiro. That's my name. People call me JP. I'm born and raised in the beautiful city of Quebec in Canada. So that's the French part. So if you feel or hear my French accent, it comes from there. But a community in a city that I love, that gave me this opportunity, to grow in my football journey and to start over there. So I played from age 7 until 19, 20. So until I really left to America, and I've had such a beautiful experience of football over there, playing at the grassroots and playing for my neighborhood club. And even to this day, whenever I come back, I have so much love for the people around, and I try to give back as much as I can to that community as well. And the years leading into this college soccer adventure that I started, I was in a pretty interesting situation because from we have a high school soccer, and then we have a post secondary school that we called Cégep, which leads to university. And I got enrolled in that program, and there's still a very competitive level of soccer in the province and in Canada as well. And I was not playing at all. I was not playing at all for 3 years. And the first year, so I believe it was in 2012, if I'm correct. The first year that I got enrolled into that CEGEP program, so pre-college, we can call it like that. I had this wonderful opportunity to be called to a under 17 and under 18 Rwandan national team. So I am from Rwanda. My parents are born and raised over there, and I have this beautiful ties to the country. And I had this beautiful opportunity to join a camp in Kigali in Rwanda, and it was a eye-opening moment in my career because I realized over there that
Hmm.
football was not just a game, and we like to call it a beautiful game, but it meant so much more to them. And I arrived a little bit like the little Canadian kid with the nice boots and the little
Mhm.
swagger, and over there
Yep.
I got crushed. I got crushed. And just because of the mentality, the approach, the passion that these guys had, I was completely shocked. And after adjusting and after adapting to the culture over there and the style of football that was way more physical, way more intense, the feedback that I had
Hmm.
was that I had a good potential, but then I needed to put myself in situations out of my comfort zone more often. And as a 16, 17 years old, you talk about the comfort zone. I didn't really get it. And the coach said, look, if you are not training every single day in a competitive environment, and if you don't push yourself to like 200% every day, and if you don't do extra, forget about playing professional or anything that you want to do in this football career. Because he told me, you see the players here, they do
Mm.
this to survive. They do this to get that one opportunity that can maybe save their family, save generations, and save their lives. So forget about the game. Think about what you do on a daily basis that can get you to maximize your potential. So that's a pretty good
Mm.
pep talk for a 16 years old kid from Canada, Quebec, that was just kind of having fun with it, good attitude and everything. And I came back home and there was a switch, a completely change
Mm.
of mentality, change of attitude. And from the situation where I was at, when I was completely, I wouldn't say ignored, but I was not really considered in coach's plan in the teams that I played. I told myself, JP, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? And why do you want to do it? And I think at some point, it is extremely important to ask yourself these type of questions and to have, I'd say, the honesty to accept the answers to those questions as well and to be aligned with those.
Mm.
And I realized that my why was to inspire people through my journey to be the best version of themselves, to impact my community and be someone that people look up to and say, he did it and I can. Oh, JP did this. Maybe I can do it. And instill those seeds in people's heart to make them live a life that they truly want to live. And that was a pretty, I believe, uh, to me, it's an amazing thought to have as a 16 years old. But it was truly in my heart. And how could I do that? Well, it meant that I needed to invest in myself as much as I can, as much as I could, to be the best version of myself first, walk into this journey with more intentions, and play professionally. whatever steps I needed to get there, I needed to take. And after thinking about a process and a method and a plan that would get me to this goal of playing professionally, of reaching the heights that I wanted to reach, I figured that playing college soccer
Mm-hmm.
would be an awesome step, because I would start from a position where I was playing provincially, but at a provincial level in Canada. I was not really in the top uh, players, but I had that desire. And I said, JP, if it's in your heart, it is meant pursuing. If it's in your heart, it's meant pursuing. So
Mm.
I started just
So let me ask you about
being
the
made.
about that experience when you go to Rwanda and you have that conversation with with the coach, right? And he lays it out to you in a way that says, hey, there's kind of two roads that this can lead to, right? Like there's
Yeah,
players that are doing this for their livelihood, and there's players who maybe don't have that same level of commitment. And if you want to get
yeah,
on the level of the professionals and the where your dream wants to take you, you're gonna have to take tour number one, right? Do you think if
yeah.
that conversation doesn't take place at that time in your development as a young player and as a young person, do you think that the same outcome still kind of occurs in the same way? Like was that the spark plug that you needed, the ignition of the fire that you needed to take you on kind of the journey that ensued following 16 years old?
That's a fantastic question. And I believe that I heard the message at the perfect time. And I was willing and open to hear that type of message exactly when it happened. And I think that we always have a decision in our lives. We always have decisions. And I
Mm,
think sometimes we make a decision, and not making a decision is a decision as well. And when I heard that
100%, yeah.
message, I believe it could have gone both ways, and that's why I totally take full responsibility in my process, in my journey. And at that time, I had the same mindset. I said, I could have gone back to Canada and just relaxed and say, you know what? I was with the national team. And whatever is happening right now, it's not my fault. It's the coach's responsibility. They don't see the potential that I have. It's because of them. It's because of them. It's because of the referees, because of the field, it's because of the team. I could have blamed
Mm,
a lot of things. And if I'm honest with
yep.
you, that's what I did at first. That's what I did. But having the honesty as well to face these answers to the questions about my why, about how I wanted to do it, about what I wanted to do, well, I needed to switch and go from a victim to the main actor of my life. And that's when all the magic happened.
Mm. It's there's this idea of kind of the extreme ownership, right? When it comes to a football career,
Yeah.
meaning, or really anything in your life, meaning when you take accountability for all the outcomes, all the actions, whether it be positive or negative, there's a sense of kind of closure that you can provide to yourself, and there's a clear way for you to say,
Yeah.
okay, I wasn't good enough for this team. Let's say if we use the example of football, right? I wasn't good enough for this team, but that's on me because I wasn't at the level. I didn't do this, that, and the other to be able to get myself to the ability to be there. Now I know what I need to do to go forward. But when
Yes.
you have the opposite approach of, like you said, blaming the coaches. The coaches don't pick me because it's all political and this, that, and the other, or the fields aren't the right level, or my teammates aren't giving me the ball. Right? There's a million excuses that we can make, but there's never a solution to that. You'll always just live in
Yes.
this state of it's someone else's fault, and you can never really move forward because it will always be someone else's fault. And I think it's a fascinating idea that you bring up, like
Absolutely.
the moment that you really just take control of what you have set out to do and take control for the positives and the negatives, it allows you much more kind of freedom, I feel, to be able to move forward into the next step.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we're talking about football, but between me and you, we're not talking about football. It's a way
Yeah.
to see life, it's a way to see your existence, it's a way to see your journey and to create the story of your life. And I think that we all live through the story that we tell ourselves. And the story I decided to create was a story of inspiration, a story of grit, a story of growth, a story of love, a story where I impact the world and where I am an actor of change. That's the story that I created for myself. And that has always been the story I wanted for my life and the type of stories as well that have inspired me. When I see like football, I love Messi. I love Neymar. But those stories, they don't resonate with me. Talk to me about
Mhm.
N'Golo Kante. Talk to me about Jamie Vardy, and my eyes just go boom. I love the music industry. Talk to me about someone that got rejected
Yeah.
and that got rejected again and again, and boom, finally released an album, Grammy, Oscars, name it, whatever, and then got success and was a leader. Don't talk to me about a businessman that was just born to do that and took it, the fortune of his family. Talk to me about someone that started from ground zero and that believed in something, that had a purpose, that had a why, and just did it over and over again until it worked. That's the stories that inspired me. And I decided to make my life a story like that.
Yeah. It's I mean, it's why I started this podcast, because I'm very fascinated by story, and I'm fascinated by the role that it plays in people's lives. And again, I'm the same way as you. Now, don't get me wrong. If the opportunity presents one day
Mm.
for me to be able to have, Ronaldo or Messi on this podcast, I may take them up on that opportunity. However, like give me the
Dude,
guys who, yeah, give me the guys who played third division in Slovakia, and somehow found a way to make it up, or traveled to
yes.
Indonesia, or those are the stories where it's like you went out and did something, not really in pursuit of the money or the fame or anything other than just you were so focused on
Mm.
this pursuit and achieving this goal that you were willing to go to these heights and these places that no one else really would commit to. That's what's fascinating, and that's what's fascinating too about a story like yours. I mean, just as
Yes.
I'm kind of reviewing it, already you have played in, what is it, 4 or 5 countries probably, and I'm sure countless more that you've been to just on trials and things of that nature. Like, what has that been like, just even as you look at your experience so far to this point within the game of football, like to really reflect on the fact that you've played now, I know you're in Sweden now, which we'll discuss a little bit, but there's an Australia stint, there's Spain, there's America. Like, is that ever a bit surreal for you to look back on the places that you've been just in pursuit of this kind of dream?
I'd say that every time I think about that, the feeling, the emotions that come up are mainly gratitude, love, and I'd say gratitude again.
Yeah.
Because I know that as much as I talk about my purpose and my desire to grow and my desire to have an impact, like I have been blessed to live all of these experiences. And I wouldn't be here where I am today if it would not have been from all these beautiful adventures. And I recognize as well that the universe kind of opened the right doors for me at the right time. And for that, I can say that I have some sort of control on my life, but I can accept as well that I've been helped and I've been fortunate to be healthy, to have a family that has always been so supportive, to have friends along the way that I've met, that had, to have discovered things that I could not even imagine, to have, met the right people at the right time, people that have been kind enough to just trust me when I needed it, or open the door when I was at the dead bottom. You know what I mean? So I have so much gratitude.
Yeah.
And this
Yeah.
gratitude is the fuel that makes me wake up every day with a big smile, with a lot of energy, with a heart that is ready to love, that is ready to be open for different connections, different opportunities. And I'd say just live my best life. So yeah, gratitude is the word.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a really, man, it's such a great way to look at something like this because I think even
Mm,
as I'm sure we'll discuss, there's a lot of hardship that comes and there's a lot of adversity that's faced when you're pursuing something that's as challenging
yeah.
as this. And to be able to still go in with a mindset of gratitude
Yes.
is something that can be really honestly kind of like a secret weapon for you because it's very easy for us to, again, get bogged down in some of the negative things like, oh, I've been out of a contract for how long, or I can't find a team, or, an injury or something like that. And
Yes.
man, the list goes on and on, right? Like, I'm sure, I mean, maybe even if you want to talk to kind of how you got your first start
It
into
goes on.
playing after college, like what was that like for you? You have those couple of years at St. Rose under Ciano, and then, the dream is to keep playing. Like, how do you even go about doing that? I'm sure there was, adversity as soon as you finished at St. Rose.
There was a lot of adversity, but I think adversity has been part of my journey. And from that moment that I shifted my focus and saw adversity as an opportunity for growth, obstacles didn't scare me anymore. Not having a club did not scare
Yeah.
me anymore. Being in an uncomfortable situation did not scare me anymore. Being alone in a new country or a new place, or to travel hours and hours in bus or flights, it did not scare me anymore. It didn't. So me coming into college, I knew everything that I did, that I did to get there. Nothing was given like that. So
Mm.
I just kept the same mindset. I said, JP, why do you want to do it? Okay, the why is still there. That's still to inspire people to be the best version of themselves, to have an impact into this world, to be an actor of change. Good. The why is still untouched, still there, still present. How do you want to do it? I still want to play professional football. I still want to use that platform to. Good. How are you going to do it? The
Yeah.
method. Okay, now you have already built your resume. I started to understand a little bit more about that marketing side of football, how to market yourself, the business side of things. Because, and you know it probably more than anyone else, there are unbelievable talents in this world. You go play pickup on a Saturday, you see some ballers. You see some ballers. You play in college, you see some guys that you're like, wow, unbelievable. This is the best player I've ever played against. Or, wow, amazing. But it's not only about that. And one thing I love, because I did study, maybe gonna get there some at some point in the conversation. But I am currently finishing my master's, the MBA. So I did. study a lot about
Mhm.
marketing. And a mentor of mine once told me that you can have the best product on earth, but if nobody knows about it, it's worth
Yeah.
not a lot. But some people have an idea, have a product, people in the world hears about it, and they're like, wow, that's what the world needs. And that's the thinking that I had. And I said, JP, you know your value, you know your potential. And now the mission is to make the most of it. So make your profile, make your playing career, your playing experience as something attractive, as something that can add value to a club, to an organization, to a culture. Okay, how do you do it? I came back to a good old friend, mass emailing, connecting with people, relationships, making phone calls, showing up. That's how you can do it. And you know what? I studied mathematics in college. There's something that we call the law of probability. The more you try and experience, the more likely you are to get a result. And that's exactly the method that I use. If JP tomorrow 10 clubs know, 10 clubs know about you, well, that's 10 possibilities. If 100 clubs know about you, that's more opportunities. What if 1,000, 10,000, 100,000? Does it increase or decreases your chance to get where you want to be?
Hmm.
I say it probably increases. So now you have the method, and now this is a good test as well to see how committed you are. And I'm a man of challenges. I am a man of challenges. And I took this challenge day to day, hours per hours, until I got that one yes. You only need one yes.
Yeah.
And I got that yes when at the perfect time.
Exactly. Yeah. It's that one yes. Yeah. And you speak to something that I think is so true. And I've thought about this. I've talked with this with other players too, that I think I'll even use my career as the example, right? Like throughout my entire career, I've very rarely ever been the
Mm.
best player, if ever have I been the best player on a team, right? And this is coming all the way up. And I think it's funny because
Mm.
people that are disconnected from football that you just have a random conversation with, you tell them like, oh yeah, I'm playing here, or I'm playing overseas, and they're like, oh wow, like you must be pretty good. And it's funny because in my head I'm like, I've played with so many players that are so much better than me, right? Like if you watched in college, or you watched wherever, you'd be like, that's probably not the best player. But when you speak to the marketing of this all, it's, I was willing to take my product and knock on a door and say, hey, do you want to buy this product? And they said, nope. And I said, okay, I'm going to go to the next door and go to the next door and go to the next door. And somehow, whether it's some voodoo salesman stuff, or who knows what it is, but I've convinced some people to buy this product. So it might not be the shiniest, it might not be the
You
most
did.
efficient, but it'll do something for you. So it's like, I think it's so true what you say, that there's certainly an element of talent. I'll never deny that to play at a high level, you have to be talented to a certain degree. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of talented players who
Yes.
probably gave up a couple of marketing pitches or sales pitches too soon, right? Their opportunity was right on the other side of
Yes.
of the
Yes.
door. And for someone like yourself, where you just kept marketing and kept marketing and kept marketing until you got the yes, rather than kind of being turned away after one too many no's.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think you said a lot of things that are gold. A lot of things that are gold. And one thing that breaks my heart the most, we talked about purpose. I think because way to find your purpose is to understand what breaks your heart the most. And what breaks my heart the most
Mm.
is unfulfilled potential. To see a talented player that quits sports, to see someone, let's call her Jessica. Jessica with a good heart that ends up being in a toxic relationship, someone that doesn't treat her right. Or someone that wakes up one day, 45 years old, that realized that, hey, finally, I don't really like my job. I don't like my partner. I don't like the city where I live in, and I have a lot of regrets. That breaks my heart. And I made that
Yeah.
mission and that goal to keep my purpose as strong as I could every single day of my life to make sure that my potential will be maximized. I will do every single thing to go to where I want to go, to be who I want to be. And, well, I think in that regards, if you leave no stones unturned, you have no regrets. If today, Brandon, my career had to stop, I would have absolutely no regrets. No regrets. Because I know I gave my all. And when
Yeah,
you give your all,
I
truly,
100% agree.
when you give your heart truly, you're fulfilled. But you have to be all in. We have to be all in. Because this football journey is a window in your life. And we have to understand it at some point. Some people are not conscious of it, but it will stop. At 50 years old, we're not gonna go like play here and there. It's okay. But once you accept the
Yeah.
end, or let's just say it like that, the mortality of this experience, well, you learn to cherish every moment even more, which means that, oh, people and events are opportunity for me to grow. The more I can learn, the more I can grow, the more I can grow, the more I can cherish this experience. Which means as well that every single person that you meet is a 10 out of 10. I meet you today, Brandon. You told me I don't want to disclose your age on the live, but you told me your age.
No, you're good. You're good.
You lived on Earth. I
Yeah,
can say the
yeah.
age. So you have 27, 28 years on Earth. You live a totally different experience than mine. And my guess and my understanding is that you probably know something that I don't know. And that something that I don't know could probably help me as well become a better person. So, Brendan, I have my heart open. I have my ears open. I want to hear what you have to say. I want to be kind to you. I want to be loving. I want to listen to you. Like everything you're saying is the most precious thing on earth because it is. And when you see life and you connect with people in that way, well, life number one is more enjoyable. You make more friends and you grow. You're you're living to the fullest and you make every experience more magic. And in football, we talked about the marketing side of things, but relationships are so important, so
Mm.
important. And you see, just our meeting is the result of you knowing John, of me being coached by John, and now we're here and we talk and we discover, our journey, our experiences, and that's the beauty of it all.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you spoke to a lot of really powerful things in there, but it's definitely some similar sentiments that I've felt kind of as my career has progressed. I think early on, when I first started, really
Mm,
kind of after college, I think there was a level of like holding on to the game so tight and almost like a fear of letting it go type thing that was a lot of what drove me
mm,
to achieve and drove me to
mm,
try and find the next opportunity. Whereas now, kind of like you said, I still want to play and I still enjoy playing,
mm,
and who knows how many more years I could or would or will want to play for. But there's also a level of kind of peace that I'm like you said, if it ends tomorrow, man, I got to play in how many different countries and meet how many different people. And I mean, how many people can even say that they've done that in their life? So like, there's this
right.
more of an element of probably the way you put it best earlier on in the conversation when you said gratitude, right? Like there's this level of gratitude that's like, even if tomorrow I go and do something else, man, I can look back and say that was pretty damn cool.
But yes, I totally agree with you. And you you living the life that you're living and making the most of this experience and giving yourself the permission to be the best version of yourself. Let me tell you, Brandon, you probably inspire way more people than you think. And some people probably won't tell you right away or won't message you. But my guess is that a lot of them are watching you go. And that's the power of living an intentional life and a life full of purpose and love. Is that by you giving yourself to be the best version of yourself, you are giving that permission to others as well. And to me, that is what we call impact. That's what we call being an actor of change. So, Brendan, thank you very much already for this impact and the influence that you had in this world, because it's huge. It's huge.
I appreciate that, man, and I will say, yeah, anytime when I've had someone reach out, whether it's regards to the show or in a different context, to have people say that, I think is such an awe-inspiring thing to experience. Hey, I listened to your story and it made me want to do this, and whether it's people I know or whether it's people I've never connected with before to do it, it's truly amazing, and I'm sure you probably experienced the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, when did that start for you? Where like I know, as you mentioned, kind of your purpose has always been how can I impact other people, and maybe the vehicle for me to do that is by playing the game, right? But when did the shift also focus on
Yes.
to how do I give back to these people? How do I connect with them in a way that's maybe more intimate than just what I do on the
Mm.
pitch, right? Like how did that, I guess, journey kind of coincide with your footballing journey?
One of the, I'd say, most transformational experience that I had in my young career was to coach. And I got kind of been brought into coaching by a mentor of mine, and he wanted to help me as well in my journey, and it was a good way to find a different perspective of the game, to learn different things, but to earn some money in the summer to finance my dreams, I would say. And I was part of this academy named Pro Foot Soccer Academy in Quebec. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember this one Christmas party that we had, and we all had different journeys. There were some coaches. There were some young coaches like myself. I was maybe 15, 15 or 16 at the time, and we received as a gift a journal. And on that journal, it was written, "Be the change." So we're gonna come back to that later. But my mentor told me, his name is Fergus. He told me this journal will be extremely powerful in your life. It's okay to have the ideas, but if you write it down, it adds a different layer of meaning to it. And me as being someone very curious and always wanted to make the most of every opportunities and every experiences and every people, I say, you know what? I'm gonna start writing. And for a couple of years, I wrote, I wrote, I wrote about my football experience, about my life experience, about things I felt, about my emotions, about how I saw the world, how I saw my football journey, the dreams I had. And after looking back and reading pages from months ago or years ago, well, I saw that a lot of times the things that I felt the most rewarding, or the positive emotions, came from moments when I helped others, or when I was at like serving the community, or when I was having an impact. So it was my words in that journal. Like, I didn't invent any stories. It was really me talking about what I felt, my inner world. And I said, well, if you write about it so often, if it means that much to you, it's probably something worth pursuing again and again, with more commitment, with more intentionality, with more love. And I was coaching an under nine team. And if I'm being honest with you, I don't know if it was my coaching skills or the group that I had or something in the air, but we were losing all the time. We were getting properly beaten up week after week after week. And every time I was showing up on a Tuesday for trainings, the kids were like excited and ready to go. And I was like, what is happening? And the parents, obviously, when you coach, parents is another dimension, huh,
Yep.
of youth soccer. And I had to find in me all the tools to motivate the kids on the weekends in trainings. I had to find ways to convince the parents as well of my love for the game, and that I really cared about their children, and I really cared about their development and their growth and their football journey. Like, I really cared. And well, these
Hmm.
years of coaching has have not only helped me to be more, I'd say, connected to my purpose, but to gain terrific skills of leadership, of communications, on as well, knowing how to manage different situations, deal with emotions. And so this coaching experience that I had for from age 16 to until the day that I left to college, to St. Rose, were unbelievable. were unbelievable. And that's really, I believe, what what brought me to live an extremely and a, like a way more intentional life, connected to my purpose and my why, to be the best version of myself and to inspire people to do the same.
Hmm. So I'm curious then, because I can even tell just in speaking to you for this long that you have a um there's a charisma about you, and just the way in which you speak, like obviously, as I'm sure we'll talk about, and I think it's probably goes without saying that you're an amazing public speaker and you can captivate an audience. And I find myself like, even just now and listening, right, I'm not, it's an audience of one, but I'm waiting for every word, right? Like, and I think there's a real power in that. And so I guess I'm curious then, what is it about football that also ties into your purpose and the journey that you're on? Because in having that ability to be a good public speaker, there's a lot of different avenues that one could take with that, right? There's politics, there's being a
Yes,
community leader. Like there's a million and one different avenues that, and they may all be things that you explore when your
yes,
playing career is done. But what is it also that you love about the game of football
yes.
itself that kind of ties into this whole bigger picture?
One thing I love about football, and something I believe is worth way more than any 3 points or any medals or any awards, are the connections with the people, the relationships that you can build. And I think, looking back at my journey, I realized that this is gold. And those friendships, those moments, and how people made me feel, and how I've been able to just connect with people from different countries, different cultures, different backgrounds. It has brought so much to me. It has added so much value to my life. And that's why every time I have to book a flight, or every time I have to change club, there's a little bit of fear that is always there, because it's unknown. It's a zone that I've never explored. But I am so excited because I get to connect with people, like we said, that have a totally different experience of life, and that I can learn so much from. And I truly see every single human in my life as a 10 out of 10. I can never look down on someone. I cannot do that. I cannot do that, because I know that your experiences is so valuable, and your presence on earth has so much meaning, and I want to get to know you. I know sometimes we in life, the small talk happens, hey, nice weather, hey, hey, it was sunny yesterday. But Brandon, I got rid of that long time ago. We're going to talk about the weather, and then I'm going to ask you how you really feel. I'm going to ask you, how's your heart? I'm going to ask you, what did you learn the most in your last experience? I'm going to ask you
Hmm.
questions that are meaningful, because that's the type of relationships and connections I'm trying to build. So, there's one thing that I love about football: connections, human connections.
Hmm. As you look back on some of the experiences that you've had thus far in your career all over the world, are there any highlights that kind of stick out to you of an example of that connection, or something, a common experience that you shared with a player or a coach, or whoever it may be, in some different part of the world, or obviously, as you mentioned before, there was a coaching experience kind of right in your backyard that was really transformational for you. Is there anything that though comes to mind when you think of that idea of connection over the past couple of years of your playing career?
I'd say there are so many, because I think everywhere that I've been, like someone opened the door for me, and most of the time that person that helped that door to be open was someone that I connected with in a very meaningful way, and someone that I just someone a person that we shared so much, even though we didn't meet for that long. And I think well, one story that I'll surely remember for the rest of my life would be the one of me coming to St. Rose,
Mm.
because just like you, I got recruited by Siena College. I got recruited by Siena. I went to this ID camp in Connecticut. Crazy story, imagine. I took a bus from Quebec to Connecticut. It took me probably like 15 hours, something like that.
Oh my gosh.
And I hopped off the bus, and it was like day one, and like many coaches from all over the country, and JP that shows up alone, but with a dream and with a good heart, and ready to give it all. So I go to this camp, and the head coach, the head coach of my group is Cesar Markovic. So the head coach at Siena. Are you familiar with him?
Yep.
Yep. So he's the head coach, and I go down there, and I'm like hungrier than ever. I just tackle everyone. I run like I've never ran, and I really wanted to get the most of this camp. And I got in contact with John, that was the assistant coach over there. So I go for a visit down there, and I go down there with
Mm.
an open heart once again. And with John, it is just natural. I just open my heart. I tell him my story, and he knows a little bit about my background, and I believe he kind of saw the fire that I had in my eyes, and for some reason, but I believe everything was meant to happen that way. Transcripts, something with the eligibility. I end up not going to Siena. So it was at the start of the recruiting process.
Yep.
And for 2 years, I tried, knock at doors and doors and doors, and commit twice to Division 1 programs. But every time, at the last minute, something ends up not working. And I was pretty, I'm being honest with you, I was very desperate. And 2 years later, I receive a message.
Mm.
That's very ironic, huh? Because for the 10,000s of messages, 100,000s of messages I've said, the first time that I receive an email from a coach, it's from John Ciano that tells me, hey, I remember you from the visit at Siena. I liked your attitude. I got a new coaching position at St. Rose. What are you up to? And my eyes were wide open. And I knew that it was the right door
Mm.
for me. And after that, everything kind of flowed. And even not, even though I did not know everything about the school, I could do research and everything. But well, I knew him. He knew me, and that relationship that we had, maybe for the time of my visit 2 or 3 years ago, well, it was enough for him to have trust in me and to say, look, I'm going to give this kid a chance. And the rest is history. I end up having one of the most beautiful experiences of my life. I became captain of the school a couple of months after, and I've just grown so much as a footballer, but as a person. And the lesson in that was that once again, everyone you meet is a 10 out of 10. And if I would have had a bad attitude, I don't know, on that visit, or if I would have, I don't know, showed up late or done anything bad or looked down on someone at the camp, because in ID camps there are a lot of different players from different backgrounds, and in life in general, it's easy to just judge and say this and that, and I just being myself, loving and giving my best, and that's who I am. And well, that opened the door for 3 beautiful college years, connections and relationships for a lifetime, and more opportunities in the professional world afterwards. So, simple example, but life changing connection, human connection. And I'm here once again because of him. So he's played a big part in my journey, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, and even I can attest to as well. I know at that time, you can probably speak to this too, that at that time it was a time where when coach took over that program, he was kind of in a lot of ways rebuilding it or building it into
Yes.
what he wanted it to be. Because I think some people, what they don't quite understand about certain levels of college sport, but maybe specifically college soccer, is there's some schools where, the coach may not be even a full-time coach, like a full-time member of the staff. And they may
Yes.
be kind of in the same way that we as footballers are, hustling and playing and coaching and working another job just to make ends meet.
Yes.
Sometimes, the college coaches that some of you out there are reaching out to may be doing the same sort of thing.
Yes.
And so for him to kind of put that work into that program and also speak to you being a transformative member of that program, I think is huge because of where that program, a coach of mine always used to say, like, he always wanted to leave a place better than where he found it.
Um,
Right. And I think
love that.
you can probably say this too. I think that St. Rose, that was exactly what happened with that soccer program. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And to me, that's the result of positive leadership. You love, you care, you give your all, you give your best, and you try as much as you can to leave a legacy, to leave something for the next person that is coming. If a president in whatever country runs the
Mm.
country and leaves it and the country goes down, to me, speaks a lot about the leadership. Like, what did you leave? Like, what structure, what culture, what values did you leave? And as St. Rose, John created this type of environment. He showed the example by being loving, committed, by caring, by adopting and representing the values, by being the values that he wanted us to to connect with. And I said, "Wow, this type of leadership is transformational, and I want to be that type of leader as well." So, JP, what do you want to leave at the school? And obviously, every year we talked about getting to the conference tournament and going to the NCAA and everything.
Yep.
But I would say that the most rewarding feeling and the most love I felt for the program was that a year was it a year after they went to the conference tournament final, and I was the happiest man on earth. Not because yes, I was there and I gave everything and it's because of me that they got there. Not at all. Because I said, maybe in all of this, you gave
Yeah.
this that contributed to the sum of all different individuals that have been through the program and that gave their best. But you love that program and that love may be in someone else. And this all of this created that. It's not only the sum of 11 on the pitch. No, it's the legacy that people left. It's the culture. It's the values. It's the leadership. It's John. It's the coaches prior to that. It's the alumni. So being part of that is special. And I was not even at the school at that time, but I said, "Wow!" And I messaged all of my boys and ex teammates, and I said, "Guys, it is awesome to see them reap all of what the program has been for so many years. And to change a culture in a program, it doesn't take a year, you know. In any businesses or any organization, it takes time, it takes effort, it takes so much. But when you see like positive results, I think it's so important to celebrate and to just cherish these successes.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And you spoke to earlier the experience that you had those 3 years at St. Rose kind of propelled you and allowed you the opportunity to then go on and have opportunities in the professional game.
Yes.
Can you speak to a little bit how, you go from Albany, New York to, fast forward to now you're playing in Spain? Like how do the stars align to be able to make that happen?
Well, that's I'd say that's kind of connected to my life story. After leaving St. Rose, and I'd say the first day that I stepped on the campus uh, in Albany, I had objectives that were so clear. I said, I'm going to spend my 3 years here, get my degree. I want to be a leader. I want to go, achieve certain things collectively, individually. I had some goals as well, short term, midterm, long term. But the end of that chapter needed to end with doors at the professional level and opportunities to live my best life, live my dream. So final year,
Mm.
I started very early to connect with people, professional clubs, agents. I understood as well the combines that were happening for most seniors, and I've been lucky enough to be invited at two combines. So I made combines with USL. I went to Columbus Crew as well, and those doors didn't really open the way I wanted. So I said, okay, the doors don't open, we go to the next one. And I have this saying, when I hear no, it means next opportunity. So every time a door closes, we go to the next one. No, we go to the next
Mm.
one until that door is open. And
Yeah.
after connecting with people and people, well, I remember one of my best friend at St. Rose. That is, he's got Spanish and French origins. Uh, he was playing in Spain in a pretty special club, Amuñecar City, and I connect with him, and we were like roommates as well. So we lived in the same house, so we were brothers. And I just, you know, I told him, how's that experience over there? He said, JP, that's the best club that you can be, especially if you want to start your journey in Europe. You train full time, quality environment, very professional. If you do good there, you're in the system, you can keep growing. So I said, okay, so let me see if I can message the coach. So like gives me the contact info. Happens that I messaged the coach like a couple of months earlier. Didn't really get any answer, but by knowing someone that was on the team and that spoke highly of me as a player and as a person. Well,
Yep.
that contact somehow came back. And then we connected. The profile was something that he liked. Had the chance to talk on the phone. And Brandon, if I talk to you on the phone about something that I love, trust me, you will feel it. Even though you're in Australia, you're in Africa, you're wherever you be. If I talk to you about something that I love, you'll be like, okay, this guy has got energy to the roof. He's really loving it. And I think that's exactly what happened.
Yep.
The coach felt my desire to grow, felt my desire to be the best version of myself, felt that I wanted it bad. He opened the door, and that was the door that needed to be open at that time. So I walked my first steps in the Spanish football system in 2019. So right after my graduation. So yeah, it has been probably the most beautiful day of my life when I signed everything, when I got there, and I was just living my dream. And there's something very empowering that gives you a lot of power when you do the things that you told yourself you would do. And I think this confidence that I have to this day comes
Mm.
from that. Because every time I told myself I would do something in my habits, in my routines, in the small commitments on a daily basis, every time I told myself I would do something, I did it. That was another perfect example. So I said, JB, you told yourself 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, before going to college, after college, that you would be in Europe, that you would start your professional journey there, and you did it. Obviously, I have a lot of gratitude towards life, but at the same time, it gives me so much power, realizing that I am the main actor in every single decisions that I make in my life. If they are aligned with where I want to be, with what I want to do, with my purpose, it will take me where I need to be. And I needed to be in Spain at that time. I needed to be in Spain at that time.
How I'm curious as to how when you achieve that moment, right, and you kind of can sit and bask in it for a second and say, wow, I'm in Spain and I'm playing the game and I'm really actualizing a dream right now.
Yes.
As how much I mean, maybe time is spent there, or when does the transition occur of, because I think it's also what makes high level athletes kind of wired in their DNA is that idea of, okay, I set a goal, I go out and accomplish it, and now it's time to
Yes.
set a new one, right? So I imagine for you there's an element of feeling that emotion in Spain, but then it's like, okay, now I want to go and I want to see how well I can do for my team. How many games can we win, or can I get into the team, and how well can I play? And like you said about in college, how you had some kind of individual and team goals. I'm sure that process kind of recycles as you go to Spain. So maybe talk to me a little bit about that when you have that joy of the emotion of being there and living that dream. How is that coupled with kind of the work that goes into the actual football side of it?
I love that question because I think, especially as athletes, we talk a lot about objectives, and every time I talk to younger athletes as well, and people that I try to uh, to help and advise, we always talk about the importance of having clear goals. But I'd say that internally, I shifted from being someone that was really goal driven to growth driven, which means that my drive is certainly
Hmm.
in the fact that I can get and that I can achieve certain goals, but I see the bigger picture. I focus on my growth. And when you focus on your growth, you appreciate the journey a lot more. And if you reach one goal, where? Well, it's part of the growth. It's part of the growth. I want to keep growing. I want to keep learning. I'm not satisfied with that. And that's kind of the emotional roller coaster. If you get to a certain goal and that's everything that you focus on, well, you'll reach it and you feel that, well, that only lasts for so long. That only lasts for so long. But when you're growth driven, you appreciate things in a different manner. I went to the gym today at 8 a.m. and I appreciated that workout because it helped me grow. And I know that that growth will lead me to new heights, to new objectives, to new goals. And in Spain, it was a little bit of the same type of thinking. I am here. I am grateful. Good. JP, proud of yourself. Good job.
Hmm.
Where's the growth now? How can I grow? Oh, okay. Routines, habits, thinking, learning, reading, listening to podcasts, connecting with people, trying to get to know them, trying to get the most of my teammates, of my coaches, of the environment, of the culture. Now we're talking about growth. We're not talking about scoring 10 goals. Growth versus goals.
Yeah.
And I was there. I was extremely happy and I was the happiest man on earth at that time. But to me, it was not an end. It was not like the last chapter. It was one chapter out of the story I am trying to create. Just it kept me driven, and there was a lot of adversity over there, a lot of obstacles, but part of the growth journey. We keep going, JP. It's okay. And that led me to another opportunity, that led me to another one, and that led me to another one. And after those 3 years that I played in Spain until 2022, well, part of my growth journey and part of the vision that I had for so long was to at some point get called up by the national team of Rwanda. And that happened. It's probably one of the most beautiful experience of my life. And I appreciated every single second of it. But I knew it was because of the growth journey. It was not an end. It was not an end. And I think ultimately, this football journey is part of my growth journey as a human. So it's not an end. So when it ends, it doesn't really end. We just keep going, we keep growing, and we keep living and loving what we do on a daily basis. So it's all about the perspective. I heard
Hmm.
this quote by, is it Wayne Dwyer, that say, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So everything I looked at changed. I think it was a plus, but a plus in the right direction all the time.
Hmm. That call up to the national team. Um, I walk me through maybe just the emotions, or just you answer the phone and you hear that news. I don't know. I think it's hard for anyone to really put ourselves in that situation and know what that feels like. I think maybe there's a part of us that can understand what it
Mm-hmm.
might be like to become a professional player, but I'm sure that there has to be such a different amount of emotion or amount of weight that's carried to being able to represent something that's so near and dear to you and to your family, and doing that through, this growth journey that you're speaking about with football. I mean, can you put into words at all that experience of being called up to the national team?
Brandon, I have some. Now we're gonna we're gonna shift in confession mode. I'm gonna tell you some confessions, some stuff that not a lot of people know. But since the date that I left Rwanda in 2012 for that under 17, under 18 national team camp, I put on my door in my room a photo of the Rwandan national team. And I told myself, JP, you will go back one day. I made that promise to myself. You will go back and be with the senior Rwandan national team. And I looked at that picture every single day of my life. And I'd say that this moment was very special because of the gratitude I had towards my roots, towards my parents' journey, because their journey, we could do another podcast on that, right? Um, and I have a lot of love for my country. And I realize as well that my experience with the national team at the youth level really helped my resume and helped me get experiences afterwards. Because let's be honest, if I was just in the position that I was playing in, well, playing but not really playing in Canada, I didn't really have something that could spark a coach interest or at least make him curious. But you see a guy that was with the youth national team, you tell yourself that he's got a little something, you know?
Yeah.
So I knew, and that was something I was trying to market, and I was trying to highlight every time. It was like bold like 55 in all of my emails. That's something I wanted people to know, and that helped me.
Yeah.
So I was grateful for that. I had so much love for the country, and every single day of my life, I left to Albany, took the picture, and I had a couple of other pictures of goals and stuff I wanted to manifest and materialize in my life. But that picture was still there. At St. Rose in Albany on Madison Avenue was still there. Day after day, I woke up, I
Mm.
saw, good, keep going. So unconsciously, everything everything was so clear in my mind. And I was in Spain. It was in 2021. I was playing in Tercera, and I heard from different connections that I had in the country that the coach had heard as well that there was a Rwandan kid from Canada that was playing in Spain. And I think that's kind of the beauty and the magic of it all is that as Rwandans, it's a small country, amazing country in the center of Africa. But there are not a lot of Rwandan footballers in Spain. I was pretty much the only one.
Yeah.
So once again, it kind of creates a little bit of curiosity. It's adds a little something. And in my room, I was in a village called Pola de Lena in beautiful Asturias, in the north of Spain. And that picture was still there. And that picture got, I'd say, clearer with time. So at first, I only had the picture. And then with time, I just started to add dates, moments. when I wanted to be called up. And after that picture, I added another one with the list of a call up, and I added my name on the list.
Mm.
I added my name on the list. So now I saw the picture of the team, a date, a moment where I needed to be called up. I said World Cup qualifiers 2022. I didn't really know. It was pretty crazy to say it at the time. But I said World Cup 2022, I'd be at kind of a good age. And I saw the list and I added my name. So I said, look, there's a list one day. It's going to look like that.
Yeah.
So, Brandon, when that moment actually happened, it felt like I lived that moment so many times before that emotionally, I was pretty calm. And that's something you wouldn't expect because JP, national team, they fly you out. National team. I was pretty calm. I was comfortable in that emotion of joy, of love, of being proud of myself. It was familiar because unconsciously I live that so many times. And now, funny story is that I end up flying to Kigali, the capital of Rwanda, and I show up, new kid. Oh, he's from Spain. Oh, Canada. Okay, and I meet the coach, high coach, and I see every player, every player. I shake their hand. I'm like, oh, nice to meet you. Nice to meet. What's your name? Nice to meet you. But I already knew their name. I already knew everything about them. I knew. That's a picture I saw for the past couple of years. I knew you. I knew all of you
Yeah.
guys. I know where you played. You know where you played. I can tell about information about your career, your age. I know all of you. So I went there and I was home. I was home. I was comfortable. I was where I needed to be. So yes, I was happy, but I lived that happiness slowly, slowly through the years, through the process, through my growth, through all of these beautiful experiences that I lived. And that little cherry on the sundae was the perfect finishing touch on that goal that I set myself. But I'd say it was more another beautiful chapter, I would say.
And man, that's so funny that you mentioned that you look at that picture every day and kind of picture yourself in that environment. So I'm sure every time there's so many probably little moments that you think about, you're putting on the training kit for the first time or just stepping out onto the pitch for the first time. um, are there even kind of highlights that you can look at from that time spent with the national team where you take special memories specifically, or is it on the whole an amazing experience that for so long you kind of dreamed of? It's hard to differentiate and hard not to just cherish the entire thing.
I'd say it was overall such a gift in my life because once again I had so many moments full of gratitude for everything that I lived, for everything, for the positive and the negatives, but the negatives are really positives in the end if you look at things.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, the thing I really understood about football is that wherever you are, your capacity to adapt is a huge skill to have. Because I played at different levels, from being on the bench in Canada to playing college, to going combines, to be in Spain, different environments. So I kind of developed this capacity to go in different places and to learn how to connect with people and to find ways to express myself in different settings. And now it was kind of a beautiful situation for me to test it, but at another level, because now we're talking about international football. You play qualifiers, Mali, Kenya. Some guys were playing in, I remember one of the Mali wingers was playing at Southampton. So it's not really the
Mm.
pickup type of football that I love
No.
pickup football, but it was kind of up a notch. But
Yeah.
I saw that, hey, if you show up somewhere and you stick to who you are, you stick to who you are, and you truly focus on expressing yourself, and okay, this works like this works like this. Okay, good. I can be myself in this setting. Well, things can go pretty well. And it's all about the mindset, right? If you go somewhere and you feel like people are better than you and this level is too good, I've never been there, chances are that's probably the results that you'll get. It'll be too good for you. You'll be a bit intimidated and it's gonna turn
Mm.
a little, shaky real quick. I showed up there and said, JP, you are where you need to be because of who you are as a person, as a player, because of your habits, because of your work ethic, because of everything that you do on a single basis. So, in doubt, that's a saying that I repeat myself a lot. In doubt, be yourself. In doubt, be yourself. Because that's the thing that you know how to be. I was myself
Mm.
and it was unbelievable. I played my best football ever and against the best players I've ever played against in my life. So it was just another beautiful situation that gave me so much power. And I said, you told yourself you were going to do it and you did it. And it took time. It took time. But we're not scared of that. You can do it, JP. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. So what does that process kind of look like now? When you go to a camp like that, is there kind of feedback that you get from the coaches? Do you still stay in contact with them for, potentially things that happen in this calendar year for the national team? I guess what's that kind of when you leave that experience and go to your next footballing journey? How does the national team still sort of play a role?
It was a gift. And in that situation, I lived a lot of adversity and things happened not necessarily the way I wanted to because we got into some paperwork and administration and logistic issues that did not make me eligible to play both games. So I was there. Coach wanted me to play. I was the starters practicing the day -1. So I was excited to play, but I didn't play. But once
Mm.
again, took a little break, took deep breaths, and I said, JP, you are where you need to be. And in this situation, there's a gift as well. And that gift was probably to tell me that, hey, you're, you're very, very, very close, but you got to keep going. So I left back. I left the camp, and The feedback, you probably know it just like me. At times, it won't really come from the coaches or the club. They won't say, "Can you come here? We're gonna do a little evaluation to see how's your
Yeah.
growth." Like,
Yeah.
I've never really did that. You except if you find like a John Ciano on Earth, or but besides that, it's kind of hey, good job, guys. See you in a couple of months. Go back to work, and good luck.
Yeah.
But as JP being JP, as JP wanted to be the best version of himself, I know that everyone is a 10 out of 10. So, hey, coach, how are you doing? Good. I would
Yep.
love to know your impressions. I would love to have a feedback, and I would love to know how you feel that I can get to the next level in my career. I would really, really appreciate that. Thank you for your time. If a player comes to you like that and you coached, you coach, what's the reaction any coach would have? like,
Yeah.
like, thank you. Yeah, sure. He's open to hear what I have to say. So feedback I got was JP, you're there. You're JP. What happened? It's out of our control. But keep going. You're good. You have unbelievable skills. And what we love as a staff, and how we think you can be part of this setting, of this squad, and be a leader is because of who you are as a person, your attitude, your mindset. And I was like, wow. So pretty much, we break it down. JP, you're a good player, but what makes you add value to a team is
Mm.
you as a human being, your personality, your attitude, the way you motivate, your energy. And it has nothing to do with football. And it was another moment in my life that gave me so much power, so much power. Because I said, wow, the growth that I the growth journey that I've been on, the way I invested in my personal development with mentors, with life coaches, with all the reading, all the podcasts, all the journaling, everything that I've done so far got me here. And I get this feedback from another human being that probably know like 1 week of my existence. So JP, good job. You're on the right path, and keep growing every day. Keep being the best version of yourself, because it works. Because the more you do it, and the more you'll be able to fulfill your purpose to inspire people to do the same. So
Mm.
it was pretty cool experience.
Yeah. 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 Like I said, I think that's why I'm so curious to ask you that many questions about it, because I think it's something that is such a unique experience to try and put it into words to people. I
Mm.
think is sometimes hard to do. But I guess I like to ask this question of some of the players that I bring on and the people that I bring on. Maybe, and this could be a good kind of last question for us, because it's crazy. I just looked down and saw how long we've been going here, but
We can talk for hours.
so I think if we've spoken about this idea of story, and I think for you, I can imagine I've heard some of the themes that you want your story to kind of encapsulate, and those being about growth and
Mm.
being about leaving an impact and on your community, and whether that's your personal community, the footballing community, being an inspiration to other people. But I like to kind of ask people, if we use this in the context of story, if you talk about maybe your football career to kind of this point thus far, what kind of chapter do you feel like you're writing right now? Like, what kind of chapter do you feel like you're right in the middle of? And maybe are there other things that you are still looking to write before the specific footballing maybe portion of the book kind of closes, or you write the last footballing chapter? What are some of those chapters going to look like?
This question is gold, and and I feel we are way more than footballers,
Hmm.
and I think our humanity and my humanity made me understand that, like, I am as a whole composed of so many different things. I am the footballer. I am a brother. I am a writer. I love to write. I love to speak, communicator. I'm a leader. I'm a friend. I'm someone that wants to inspire. I can be a coach. I can be so many different things. And I'd say that this chapter that I'm on is the most beautiful because I feel that I am in a position where, as a human, I have really found my voice. I have really found a way as well to connect my purpose to not only football, but to my relationships, to my studies, to my work, to all different aspects of my life. And I think I have never lived a more intentional life. And earlier this year, I was out of club, so to say, so to speak. I was still training with the local team back in Canada, a team that I love, where I grew up, and and it was probably some of the hardest time I've lived because after leaving Australia, I had some leads in different countries, different opportunities, the professional level that didn't really work, and I was a little bit confronted to these questions that I asked myself as a 16 years old. Why do you do it? How do you want to do it? And what do you want to do really? And I found that my why was still the same. I still want to inspire people to be the best version of themselves, to remind them of their magic. That's what I want to do. How? Well, I want to use football as a platform to inspire people. I want to use football. Football is something that has been given to me. Like I have to use football. Okay, what are you gonna do? And at that time, well, JP that is always overseas or JP that is living something incredible, JP was home. JP was in Quebec. So what can you do to move intentionally in your life with something that is connected to your purpose, something that uses football as well? And I started to go in schools, to go different clubs and talk about my experience, about my journey, about the lessons I've learned. And that has been probably some of the best experiences I've had in my life. To be able to talk and connect with the younger generations and to show them and to tell them that they are able to do amazing things in their life. And if they set their mind to it and they invest in their growth, if they really want to be all in, to be the best version of themselves and to achieve their goals, they can do it. And I've spoken to thousands and thousands of kids in Quebec, in my city. And somehow it was a feeling that even went was even better than being called up in the national team because that connection to my purpose to serve others and to brought me to another level of joy and happiness and love and fulfillment. And I said, I love that. I love that. And one of my dreams, I have a lot of dreams, but one of my dreams was always to create something or a project to help younger young athletes or athletes in whatever age, because we're all in this together, to help them on their journey. And at the same time, I always thought of that JP that was 15, 16 years old and all the hardships and the adversity and the obstacles and everything that I lived. And I said, JP, if you would have had someone by your side to guide you, to motivate you, to inspire you, you would have saved so much time. And if there's something in life that we can't buy or we can't take back, it's time. Time is extremely precious. If I look back at the things I wrote, look, people opened doors for me. People gave me the right tip at the right time. That saved me time. So I said, how can I help athletes save time? And I looked again in my journal, and the first journal that I had at that Christmas party, like we discussed, the title was Be the Change. Be the change. I think it comes from a quote from Gandhi. Be the change you want to see in the world. Is it Gandhi? I have to double check.
Yeah.
But be the change. Be the change. And I said, you got it. And a couple of months ago, I started the Be the Change Academy, BTC Academy, that has for mission to guide, inspire, motivate, and help athletes to be the best version of themselves. And after starting this beautiful project, or I'd say it's not even a project. To me, it's a life mission. I've spoken to many kids that wanted to get enrolled in that program, and I've seen lives changed. And that is worth more than anything I could ever ask. So when we're talking about the story I'm trying to write, it's a it's a story of love. It's a story of growth. It's a story of impacting the world. It's a story of changing lives. It's a story of being an actor of change. It's a story of leaving a legacy. It's a story of a little kid had a vision, that had a why, that had a kind heart, and that wanted to do great things. So I'd say that this chapter is the most special because I'm still involved in my playing career more than I've ever been. But with this
Mm.
connection as well to the BTC Academy, I wake up every day with an energy that I've never had before. I wake up every day with a sense of purpose that I've never had before. I wake up every day with this feeling and with this sense of intentionality that I've never had before. Because I know that everything that I do, and I document a little bit of it on my page, btc.aca, BTC Academy, and I document a little bit of that journey, of how it looks like really to live your life with a level and a degree of intentionality and purpose and really wanting to be the best version of yourself. I show a little bit of it. And I receive messages from kids that say, you know what? I watch what you do and I hear your voice and I feel your message and I change some things about my life. And it feels good and things are working out. Or JP, you said this and I tried this and I see results. And every time, I think that's the magic of it all. I tell the players that I connect with or that are part of the program is that they are responsible of their journey. That's their lives, their potential, their commitment, their value, their mission. And I think it's kind of counterintuitive, huh? And I don't think that's something they teach at business school. But I tell all the kids, look, we may talk to each other and have multiple meetings, be part of the program. Ooh, BTC Academy. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. And I say, look, you can go through all of this process and have zero results. And now I see kids are like, what? I say, you can have zero results. I'm being honest with you. And one thing I'll tell you as well is
Mm.
that we can really go on this journey together and you will never sign a professional contract. You're not, I'm not promising you'll sign at Real Madrid or in the Canadian Premier League tomorrow. No. And chances
Mm.
are maybe it won't happen. But I tell them, if you are truly invested in your journey, if you are truly committed in growing, if you are all in, and if you try everything that you can every single day to be the best version of yourself, well, the changes that you want to see in your life will slowly but surely manifest. And I always speak with my heart. And I always speak with my heart. And that's what I truly feel because what I am telling the athletes, what I am telling you, Brendan, is who I am. Is who I am. That's That's JP, open-hearted, truly vulnerable. And I believe that's the type of energy that the world needs, and the type of love that people needs in football, university, at school, in business. Love is always the answer. When you truly walk by that, you wake up with a smile, and there are some good and bad moments, and that's totally fine. That's part of the human experience, and we have to accept it. We have to accept all these emotions. But I think we are on earth to do amazing things. I think there is truly magic in all of us, and you have gifts and talents and attributes that are so unique to you. And I think that we talked about gratitude, but the highest form of gratitude is to do everything that you can to use these gifts that you have to impact the world, because your gifts are not for you. Your gifts are not for you. Someone else out there needs your gift, needs maybe a lesson that you learn, needs maybe a word that you that has a meaning to you. Your gifts are not for you. And if there would be a title for this chapter in my life, I would say that's it. My gifts are not for me. So I have to share and spread and speak and use my voice and make my heart guide my life as much as I can, like I've always done it.
Man, I love that. I think that's an amazing chapter. And I think that's also really honest and refreshing, I would say, to hear an athlete being so open and authentic about the the difficulties, the positives, the blessings, like every side of that world, every side of the professional footballing world, and what it's like to be a high level athlete. I think that's something that's really can be something that's going to help young players out there that seek out that kind of advice from you. And I've seen some of the things you've been posting on your social media about it, and it really is incredible. And I think it's something that's going to be an amazing journey for you to be able to experience through your playing career. And then also, I'm sure you have goals even beyond once the ball stops rolling, for your playing career. But man, it's been so amazing to hear your story. It's been so amazing to get insight into you as the person, the footballer, just there's so many facets to what we've been able to dive into today, and I can't thank you enough. And it's why like I said earlier, I love doing this. I love learning the story. I love learning the story of a player, yes, but really, like you just said there, it's you're so much more than a player. And I think just what's nice about something like a playing career is it just kind of allows you to highlight some of those different aspects of a person. So yeah, man, I can't